life is great, Robbie.
Yeah.
That's the truth. But a lot
Yeah.
of things happening outside, and I
You're staying,
respect the
you're staying
the
safe out
chaos that
there.
it. Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just social distancing, respecting what the people are saying about just reducing the spread of the disease,
Yeah.
and but doing that with very much with peace and not with fear, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's been great, bro.
Yeah. I think if you
How is it
understand,
over there?
well, that's the thing, right? Like if you understand that it's about just minimizing the spread, and if you treat it with that level of respect, like you said, and like you teach, because I have to teach my daughters about it, so like you can't be fearful, because if you act fearful about it, then they're just going to panic, and because they have a very low understanding, but they're
Yeah,
seeing it more as just like a thing that we have to do, and so I think I'm portraying it the right way to them to make them understand that it is just about like respect other
I
people,
see.
like respect your grandparents, because they're the ones that could get sick. So that's why we're doing this, so we don't make grandma and granddad sick in the situation, and little things like that. And like they've got
Got it.
friends in the street, and it's like we'll have a play date, but from across our driveways towards each other, and so we get to be physically distanced but not socially distanced from people, and so we're trying to help them maintain that
Got it.
connection.
And
Yeah.
how are they handling?
You know what, man? Like it's been surprisingly very positive. Because it's been
Mm,
almost a month now. We took our daughters out of school a little bit early than the government
mhm,
recommended, just because we kind of saw it coming. We closed the academy earlier than the government recommended, just because I
mhm.
don't think the government understands what jiu-jitsu is, so they don't understand how close
Got it.
contact it all is. So we just
Mhm.
felt like it was our responsibility to close a little bit earlier with the knowledge we had
I see.
of the virus and so forth, from having been in the US and starting to travel and seeing it all kind of go down.
Mhm.
So we just closed a little bit earlier. But like my youngest one, she's 4, and it's very tricky for her to be locked in the house. She's very physical. She likes to be outdoors. She likes to, we call it going on adventures. And we have like a big bushland across the road from our house, and she likes to go and get muddy and climb the trees and look for different things. And so for her to not get to do it as frequently, like that's very different for her, and not to get to kinder and socialize with all the different kids. So, but she's handling it
I
really
see.
well. My 6-year-old, she's been phenomenal. Like the homeschooling is going well, but she's also helping me teach all the online classes for Bully Proof and Black Belt Club.
Got it.
And she's normally very shy and very reserved in class. Like she likes doing
Mhm.
jiu-jitsu, but she doesn't always like getting up in front of people. And so we're building, and she's
Okay.
just jumped on it. And she's like teaching all the classes, and she's like excited. Like, what are we doing?
Really?
Yeah, it's like she's just stepped up to the bar, and she saved those classes. Like, I don't think we'd be
Wow,
in.
that's so cool.
I know, man. It's crazy. It's like you just learn these things about people, and people learn things about themselves. Like she's getting all this feedback from the parents. Like, you were amazing today. Like you did that technique so well. And she's like, Dad, I didn't even know I could do that technique before class started. Because
Wow, that's so cool.
because the secret that I'm doing with her is I don't even tell her what we're teaching that day. So she asked me what are we doing today? I was like, we'll find out when we start playing jiu-jitsu. Like, who knows what's gonna
Got it.
happen? Like, I've got all the class lessons planned out and everything, but I don't need to tell her, because if I tell her, it's not going to be organic. It's not going to be like her fun in that
I see.
situation. So
Yeah,
yeah, so it's been
that's
really
pretty
good.
cool.
But we're learning so much about ourselves as a family unit, and we're become like, I think everybody's a lot stronger together because we've been around each other so
Mhm.
much, and just having to spend time with each other and learn to respect when people are fatiguing and so forth, and know when to take a break and come back in, and we're learning things that keep people motivated and so forth. So it's been really positive for us.
I see. That's pretty
Yeah.
good, man. That's amazing. And I can see how, like, because your daughter is getting more confidence on teaching, maybe when the people start coming back in, maybe she's gonna just kind of transfer what she did in private to a camera to the class,
Yeah,
right? That's
it,
the natural progression.
it's pretty
That'll be
cool.
cool.
Yeah. So for yourself, man, like where are you like staying at the moment?
Bro, I have an Airbnb right here in Hermosa Beach,
Yeah.
and I'm just locked down right here,
Yeah.
eating, writing, singing, playing
Yeah.
my video games. Just
What do you
doing the I'm happy hitter and Hanner with the webinars
I know.
and
Every time I log on,
around.
I shout out to you. I'm like, "Hey, Evandro."
I see. I read them all. I just don't answer because you deviate from the focus, but I see them all.
What are you playing? What game are you playing?
Bro, I play everything, right? But right now I'm playing Crash Bandicoot. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, man, I love Crash Bandicoot. When it first
They
came,
just did the new remake, right? They
yeah,
remake
they got
now
all
because we
three
played
on
like
the
20
one.
years ago. There we
Yeah,
go. That's the one I'm playing.
yeah. Don't worry, man. I'm playing Spider-Man at the moment, so I just got that last
Oh
game.
my God, that's very good.
Yeah,
Oh, bro, that's crazy good. I finished too. It's amazing. Oh
dude,
my
I
God.
get to the academy at like 5 a.m. Like I practice like as if I was still teaching the morning classes. So I get here and I hop on the
Uh-huh.
Airdyne, like the thing. I'm playing PlayStation
Uh-huh.
as I'm riding the bike, and I play. That's how I'm trying to stay sane for the morning. It's just like, yeah,
Yes. That's amazing, brother.
dude,
Yeah,
it's
video game
crazy,
is
man.
very good for the mind, you know?
It's just you've got to do something, man. It's like I'm so
Hmm.
used to being so active all the time, like teaching, you know, like 9 hours a day and being interacting with people, and that's not there anymore. So, and I've been doing that since I was like
I see.
15, 16 years old, you know, with like teaching karate and all that kind of stuff. I used to do the morning classes. So that's just been my way for the last 17 years. So I don't know
I
any other
see.
way. So this is very different for me.
Yes. That's interesting. Let me just turn this off. Right. Every time I say I see,
Yeah.
Siri thinks I'm talking to her. So she says, yes.
We met a couple of years ago, and I remember it was the funniest thing because we met at the ICP, and
Hmm.
I remember you were sitting on the wall with all the candidates, and everybody's like, "Man, who's that guy who looks like Henna and Huron, walks like Henna and Huron, talks like Henna and Huron, but he's not a Gracie? Is he like their cousin? Is he the?" And everybody's like these little whispers about like who this guy is, and you just walk on, and you're very confident, you know, and you come in and you're interacting with everybody, and that you. So, you did you come over from Brazil originally, or where were
I
you?
came from Brazil, yes. I
Yeah,
lived 23 years in Brazil.
yeah,
And then when I was 23 years old, I came to America. And I am 29 now.
yeah.
So I'm staying all these years here in America.
And what at what age did you start jiu-jitsu?
Brother, I was like 14.
Okay. And what got
Yeah,
you
there
started?
was, bro, there was, it's almost like this. There was so many street fights happening in Brazil
Yeah,
that I was part of
yeah,
that I was like, man, I have to learn something, you know, because the way it happens, bro, is like this. My dad, he always taught me like to stand up for what is right,
yeah,
to defend those that need, to defend women, to protect anyone, man or woman, whoever needs help. You understand? Just kind of to have integrity and honesty. And then I was doing that, but Brazil, maybe not only Brazil, but humans, they lie and they deceive and they abuse, right? It's a trait that people do. Some humans do that, and some other humans do the opposite, to just defend, to protect, to be honest.
yeah,
So I was surrounded about a lot of opportunities to defend other people and to defend myself because people
yeah,
were bullying me or just all over.
yeah,
So then, bro, I would stand up for what was right, but then I would get into fights.
yeah,
And then I would lose 50% of them and I
yeah,
would win 50% of them.
yeah,
So then I was like, man, I remember the day, Robbie. There was the incident happening on the street right there. And then, you know, little talking here and there. And then a little offense happened where I said, man, you know what? This time I'm going to fight this guy. And then I started looking at him. We started like, you know, kind of yelling at each other, just talking to each other, you know, just kind of talking trash.
yeah.
And then this guy headbutt my nose, right?
Dang.
So like, boom, he did a big headbutt on me right here.
Yeah,
And then I kind of fell back, Robbie, and I punched him with my whole power.
mm,
I did a little running and I boom, punch his face. He was like maybe a head taller than me. And
yeah,
I was 14 back then.
yeah.
And bro, he did like this, Robbie. He like this. Boom, he took the punch, he looked at me and he started walking towards me. But that day, and then I just started kind of running back, like,
Yeah,
man, what happened? Right? Just kind of, he should fall down and have a seizure or something
yeah,
because I just punched him, right?
yeah,
But it did not happen. And then I remember after that day, you know, I kind of broke my nose
yeah,
inside. And then I was like, man, I have to learn how to fight, because just going into fights, even though I have the values to defend myself and others,
Yeah.
I don't have the skills to fight. Therefore, I'm kind of, randomly winning and entering myself into scuffles, and it's not intelligent. I'm going to learn something, Oh, actually, you know what, Robbie? I didn't even say I'm going to learn how to fight, because I didn't know that there was something out there. I said, I'm going to become stronger. I'm going to go to the gym and lift weights.
Yeah.
And then on the first day of lifting weights, I didn't even go to lifting weights, because while I was waiting for my friend to go to the bathroom, he said, bro, both of us walked into the gym for the first day of lifting weights. He said, I'm going to go to the restroom. I said, okay. He went, and I was waiting outside. There was an MMA class. Back in the days, it was Vale Tudo, right?
Yeah.
All the martial arts mixed. So there was a Vale Tudo class happening, and I was watching. And then the coach, bro, looked at me and said, hey, how are you? Started talking to me. Said, you want to try today? I'm like, no. I just, like, very shy. It's like, no, try. Very cool guy. He, like, scars on his face. I often said that he looked like Gaio from Street Fighter, like, very strong guy. But he was, like, Brazilian collar, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, like, strong and, like just a tough guy. But so gentle and kind.
Yeah.
And then once my friend came out from the restroom, Robbie, I said, bro, I'm not going to lift weights today. We were planning to lift weights for like a month to take the courage to go to the gym, right? But then on that day, I changed my mind, and I did my first Vale Tudo class.
Yeah.
And then, bro, I learned a little bit of Jiu-Jitsu. And then after maybe 3 months or 4 months of Vale Tudo, I said, there's no reason why be doing anything standing up right now, because the ground is so easy and so natural and so powerful. Like, we learned the Americana and we learned the arm triangle. Those are the first moves I learned. And I'm like, wow, what's happening here?
Yeah.
This is so strong. I want to learn more of this. So then I got a gi. I saved a little money. I bought a gi, and then boom. And then from there on, just Jiu-Jitsu with a gi. And that's basically how it started. So just street fights and learn how to defend myself.
When you started at 14 years old, right? How was your parents' reception to you starting Jiu-Jitsu?
Good question, bro. They were supportive, to the sense that they were paying the gym membership, right?
Yeah.
And my dad was always a very, very intelligent, to the sense that he always told me like this, Evandro, you want to play video games, you want to do whatever you want to do, you can do it. But first you have to do a sport. Whatever sport it is. It can be basketball, can be soccer, can be whatever. Just be in tune with the sport. So my whole life I was doing sports, right?
Yeah.
So much that I played basketball before Jiu-Jitsu. So like from 9 years old to like 14 years old, I was playing basketball. So then I quit basketball to go for martial arts.
Yeah.
And then it's almost, what happened, Robbie? It almost was undercover to my parents, because we had an agreement that I would do a sport. Then I said, Dad, I quit basketball and I'm doing Jiu-Jitsu now. And he's like, okay, whatever. Kind of doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
Kind of, he's doing his thing. And they're working a lot, so they're doing their thing as well.
Yeah.
So it's not like they were watching me and going there to support me in that manner. They were like, supportive to the best that they could.
Yeah.
But it was very much under the radar. So much that once I became a blue belt, Robbie, it was a surprise. Like, because a blue belt, Robbie, they don't know how good they are. You understand?
Yeah. Yeah.
A blue belt compared to someone that doesn't know anything, you're like a monster. You look little Kimura, little Americana, little rear takedown. My man, you're set, like you're good. And then when I was like 14 or 15 with a blue belt on my waist, I could move my body and I could do things. And I think something changing within me that my parents kind of was happening. Like, where's this confidence coming from?
Yeah.
Where's this maturity coming from? And of course, with the age, I was in, but in the Jiu-Jitsu. So very supportive, but distant.
Yeah.
Right. Just working a lot and making it happen, building a life for me and my brother.
Yeah.
And just putting food on the table, basically.
Yeah. So you have a brother as well?
I do have a brother 4 years older than me.
Does he train?
No.
have
he
you
doesn't,
tried?
bro. I don't think that the Jiu-Jitsu that I was brought in to is for him or for most people. You understand?
Yeah.
It was so rough, bro, that my brother, maybe he would watch a class and he would see it and he would like, no, what is happening out there?
Yeah.
For some reason, I'm part of that 1% or whatever percent it is, that I was so committed with defending myself
Yeah.
That doesn't matter. No matter what, I'm gonna keep coming back. And I was being tossed and flipped and popped and craziness. You know the deal.
Yeah, dude, I don't
And then
like
I was like, man, I will still come back.
yeah.
So it was for me, but it was not for my brother. And if it was today, the way we teach at GU, oh my gosh, he would be in. You know what I'm saying? He would be in, but
It's crazy, right? Like I wish, like I introduced my brother when he was like 18 years old, and it was the exact thing you're talking about. That experience of like the coach yelling at him and him being put in all these positions, and he quit in 6 months. You know, my wife quit.
Yeah, I see.
My wife, she was my girlfriend at the time. She quit in 6 months, right? And it's been so hard to pull her back into it. And yeah,
but it's traumatic. It's crazy.
And my little brother's like, "No, man, this is not for me," right? But if he saw how it was now, like I reckon the same thing. They'd be into it. But because they had that experience, it's so hard to undo that from somebody's mindset about that's jiu-jitsu. Like that's what you associate it with.
Yes.
Yeah, we lost so many good practitioners to just the way it was done.
Bro, look what happened. My mom came to America.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 years ago. I was already teaching all the programs at Gracie University and just kind of feeling home, and everything was amazing already. I was established, let's say. And then she watched a woman empowered class that I was teaching with Victoria. And she was excited. She was a little emotional, and she was like, man, this is so amazing. And then when I went out on the mat, after the class, I was talking to her. She pulled me out and she said, Evandro, this looks so fun. Why you never took me to Jujitsu before? And I was like, Mom, the way that I was training in Brazil, it was not like this. That's why I never took it to Jujitsu, Mom.
Yeah.
So it's almost like because it's so distant for her, she didn't understand it. She sees now what we do with Women Empowered. She's so amazing for her. And my mom's like, she's 58.
Yeah.
And she wants to do it. And she's excited about it. Isn't that crazy?
Nice.
While, the old style or the whatever, other people, the way that other people train, it's not for my mom for sure.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
It's crazy. My first ever Women Empowered student was my mom. So
interesting.
We started the Street Safe program because it's Women Empowered, 15 techniques for street safety. So we had the Street Safe program, right?
Yes, Henry told me about your undercover running of the programs.
So I had my mom in class as my Women Empowered student for almost a year, every Sunday at 11 a.m. for a year.
Okay.
The Women Empowered class, just her. No other women turned up. Advertising it, going through a year. Then her sister joined,
so cool.
Right? Then her sister had 2 students in. And then we're going through and we're just plodding along. And then I did our first ever seminar. And so, then I got into it. But my mom was around the same age. She was about 55 when I started the Women Empowered class. And she was my first student for, the first like 18 months. Just her and her sister. And now we've got like 60 women in a class. And it's crazy, right? It's like, but man, like,
wow, that's so cool.
I think like if it wasn't my mom in there for that one lesson every Sunday, like, I might have given up on that class because it was so hard to get people into it.
I see.
To start with that, right? But because it was her, I was like, no, I want to keep going. I want to put a little bit more, make sure we get there, and she's having fun and she's learning it. And she's like, because of the way that's presented. But it was just like, it was worth the effort to keep it going. But man, if it would have gone the other way, we would have taught her how we came up. I say.
We already know how the other way is, So it's just no retention, no care, consideration for the students, and they see it. And we can look at them and tough them up, or we can just take their time and slowly and speak their language. It's very empathic the way we teach, so that's why. Being part of Gracie University is so amazing.
The way I came up in martial arts was we break you down, and if we have time, we build you back up, right? Whereas like the way we do it is we build you up, and then we keep building you up. And so it's so much more empowering to feel it that way.
Yes, it is amazing, brother. Yeah,
and that's the thing. Like Jiu-Jitsu is meant to be empowering. It's meant to be this thing that gives you this confidence. And most people are introduced to it by like, I'm going to show you Jiu-Jitsu works. So I'm going to teach you this lesson, and then I don't actually show you the solution. I just show you that it works, and I show you the problem, and the solutions will come if you stick around. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's not a helpful approach.
Yeah, it's a exclusive approach. It's not a
Yeah.
open arms approach. It's
Yeah.
exclusive for certain people, and
Mm.
you know, we want to speak to everyone. Everyone deserves the beauty and the gift of jiu-jitsu.
Mm. So when you came across to GU, so you've gone through that experience, and were you competing as well in jiu-jitsu at the time?
Yes. So I started training every day,
Yeah.
and then the first week already, or first second week of training, I was already competing.
Oh,
My
straight
coach
into
already
it.
threw me in a, yeah, just go fight someone, and then I'm like, okay, and then I, start actually doing well,
Mm.
and I just competing was part of training. That's basically how it was for me, right?
Yeah.
And then I got my brown belt, and then Robbie, I remember people watching videos of the world champions back in the days, and there's a lot of people, amazing jiu-jitsu, but I always remembered watching the videos of the final of the black belts, and I was always like, man, I think I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm not too surprised about it. I'm not too how do I say, too like in awe, like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm not like, oh, they're so good. I'm like, I look at them like, oh, that's I think I can do it.
Yeah.
So I'm not telling anyone, because I'm not about telling people what I can do. I said, man, I want to do it. Very
Yeah.
much like I want to go there, and I want to touch those people. I want to see how it is.
Yeah.
So I met a guy, my instructor back in the days in Brazil. He introduced me to a friend of his. His name is Renato, and amazing guy. And he just like he had academy here in America. So he helped me come to America to compete the worlds.
Yeah.
And then with the guidance of the man of Renato, I competed in my first world tournament as a brown belt,
Yeah.
and I got third. I got
Yeah.
bronze medal, and I was stoked about it, right? I was like,
Yeah.
man, this is great. Like, no special training, no diet,
Yeah.
no plan, no curriculum, no nothing, Robbie. I'm talking about this. I wake up, eat a little sausage because I have no nutrition idea of nothing, and I just go fighting.
Yeah.
And then, just throw up right after, because that's what I did in every turn of my life, because I had no idea on nutrition. I would just
Yeah.
always throw up before and after. So just kind of randomness. And then I'm like, oh, I got third. Now I'm going to keep doing this. And I kept competing a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I always had this vision of Metamoris, right? Metamoris back in the days
Yeah.
was the stage.
Oh man, I don't think people pay Halleck enough credit for like really pushing the no gi, no point, submission only, which is so big nowadays, right? You got like Chael Sonnen with
Yes.
submission underground, and you got like all the ADCC is so blown up, huge and everything. People are so excited about it. But like really, it was Metamoris that put all that stuff on the map that really got people's attention.
I agree 100%. The vision, Halleck had a vision, and maybe the way that he dealt with the business aspect of it, people didn't kind of like it. That's why maybe they don't give them much credit. But whatever the reason is, I don't really care. What I care is that his vision was flawless, and he delivered. He created some fights. He changed the paradigm of competition.
Yeah.
And he gave us gifts of like André Galvão fighting Hiron.
Yeah.
Like we could watch a fight like that of two, forces collapse of different styles of jiu-jitsu. We saw Roger and Buchecha. It's just like just some fights that are epic and historical. And I was always like growing up and watching it, and I was like stoked about it. So I always told myself, I'm gonna fight Metamoris one day.
Yeah.
Right. That was my thing. I'm gonna stand up on that stage and I'm gonna fight Metamoris.
Yeah.
And then, bro, there's an interesting story about that we can go if you feel like it. But then I got to fight Metamoris.
Yeah.
And then guess who I met on the warm-up area? Hiro and Henner. That's how I connected with them. You understand?
Yeah.
Because I fought the same Metamoris that Hiro was fighting Josh Barnett.
Ah, okay.
So while we were on the warm-up area, and it's so funny how things happen because it's like this. Just so you know, that there's let's assume that there's 10 fights set up for the night.
Yeah.
They have 2 warm-up areas separated.
Yeah.
So they separate who I'm going to fight with me. You understand?
Yeah.
So we don't warm up on the same warm-up areas. We warm up in different warm-up areas.
Yeah.
So then, for example, Hiro was warming up over here, and Josh Barnett was warming up on the other one.
Yeah.
And then the other guy was here, and his opponent over there. So I
So
got
just by chance, you're on here on the side.
Just by chance, I was there, and I saw, oh, look at that, Hiro and Henner. And then I just watching them warm up, and then, you know, just kind of whatever happened. And then I fought. It was amazing. It was a draw, actually. Yeah. But, you know, good defensive, good skills. And then after the fight, I was talking to Hiro, and I was like, man, just full of gratitude, you know, because just amazing jiu-jitsu, amazing vibe, amazing integrity. You can see how he ports, how he carries himself. It's very different than most people that you know. So just out of gratitude, just kind of shaking his hand. And I said, my man, if one day I could ever train with you, I would love that. And then, kind as Hiro always is, and very humane, he said, man, grab my phone number. We train, you know, next week. He gave me his phone number. 1 week later, we were training in Beverly Hills. 1 month later, he invited me to teach Grace at Grace University. It's very much like we connected, you know, on a personal level, on a jiu-jitsu level, and on a business level. Everything just lined up so perfectly that I was able to make that happen. It's funny because in the beginning of this talk, you said how I walk and talk like them, and no doubt that I have influence on how, you know, they teach and how they speak and how they behave, of course. But it's funny because when my mom sees Hiro and Henner, she doesn't say that I look like them. She says that they look like me. You understand? So the funny thing is that it's almost like we were alike even before we've met, that's what is interesting. You understand? It's almost like we share some similar values that we like click. And then, of course, with that, I influenced them, they influenced me. But the connection was just perfect.
I don't think you guys.
Like, I think the word is serendipitous, right?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I don't think you guys could be as close as you are without you naturally already being, you know, like that to begin with. Like, it wasn't like.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
You know, like how some people try and, you can see it, they try and imitate them. You know, when they come in to try and meet them, and they try and do their like, their little like the act of being like a Gracie and so forth. Where you weren't like that. You were very natural like that, and that's why everybody was like, "Is he a cousin? Is he like?" Because it was so natural. Like, it just, and you can see that you bond so well with those guys. You know, like I watched you a while ago filming some stuff for GST, and you were just like kind of hanging with them, filming with Henner and Huron, and it was just. It was like when the two brothers are chatting with each other and they just bounce off each other, and they know when to pause and let the other person breathe a little bit and have their chance to speak. And you were doing that as well. And I was like, man, he's so dialed in. Like, you could just tell you guys, your friendship is so tight with them. It's so cool to see, like, how that they found somebody outside of the two brothers that meshed with them as well. Because I think they sometimes need an external voice. Somebody who hasn't been part of what they are, because they've been like this since 17, 18 years old, running the academy, to have like an outside voice coming in and just giving an extra perspective. You see, sometimes it catches them what you say and makes them think a little bit differently about just the way that they bounce off each other. It's really cool. What's crazy about your Metamoris story is, man, I didn't even realize that you competed at Metamoris at that event. Dude, I paid for that event. I paid the $20 US. Watch that event. I watched you compete all those years ago as well. I didn't even realize.
That's so cool, bro. Yeah, you didn't watch me compete. That's so great.
Still got that entire card on file because, like, I recorded the event as I was watching it. So
really?
I want to go back and watch you later on and be like, man.
Bro, do that, bro. Send me the video because I don't have the footage, you know, because it appeared on the web. I want to see the footage. I don't have the footage. I would love to see it.
I'll send it to you, man. It's so cool.
It's so funny, bro, because Henner is the one narrating, right?
Yeah.
And Henner's calling me Leandro. The whole fight he's calling me by the wrong name. He's like, Leandro this, Leandro that, Leandro defensive, Leandro boom. And I'm like, once I watched it, I was like, that's not Leandro. It's so cool. It was amazing, bro. Amazing experience, and it's beautiful.
In that event, did they still have the drums playing while you're competing?
Yes, it was there, yes.
That was so cool, man. I want that in the academy. Just every time I walk in, dum, 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 dum.
It's a very good feeling, bro.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do is roll to the Black Panther soundtrack, the score to Black Panther, because it's all dun,
Got
dun,
it.
dun, dun, especially like the waterfall
Got
fight.
it.
It's so much fun. It just reminds me of Metamoris every time we kind of play it in the
I
background.
see. Yeah, that's pretty cool, bro.
Yeah. So dude, you once you kind of came into the academy, like you were teaching, but now you
Yes.
do a lot of the GST and you travel around America, like doing GST. How did that happen? Like it was just such a natural kind of thing that you fell into, or what was the opportunity to work with law enforcement?
Good question, Robbie. It was basically like this. Once I did my ICP and I learned the SPF,
Yeah.
and Hiron offered me to teach at the academy, I was so hyped. I was so eager that
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I want to learn it. I want to learn how to teach because I was a good fighter,
Yeah.
and I was a good teacher.
Yeah.
But I was teaching randomly, no format, no nothing, no curriculum, just kind of craziness. Even though my energy was good, I was a bad teacher. That's the truth.
Yeah.
I had my heart in a good place, but the classes were random. And then
Yeah.
I was devoted to learning, to hanging out, and to learning Jiu-Jitsu from Hiro, mainly because we train more
Yeah.
together, like physical Jiu-Jitsu. And then I was devoted, man. And then I was learning all the programs. I started Bullyproof,
Yeah.
just learning how to teach kids, and spend a lot of time teaching kids, and then teaching combatives, and then as a natural progression teaching master cycle.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like this: they were slowly trusting me
Yeah.
with different programs.
Yeah.
It's almost like when I quote unquote graduated from Bullyproof, I go to junior grapplers, and then combatives, and then master cycle. It's a very natural progression,
Yeah.
because once I'm familiar with Bullyproof, I can teach Bullyproof without thinking about it. Therefore, I can devote mind power to learn junior grapplers, and I can devote mind power to learn combatives, and then master cycle. And then that was basically, the first accomplished territory there. And I was doing it full of love, and my heart was in the right place, and I'm just flying, right?
Yeah.
And then I was always eager for more opportunities. And Hiro and Henner, they reading my energy, reading my teaching style, and just the energy that goes through me. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah.
But then they decided to trust me with Woman Empowered, which is a special program that we carry in within us. And then they
I
said,
think
Evandro, you want to
people
assist in
don't.
Woman Empowered classes?
Yeah, I think people don't understand how protective they are of the Women Empowered program.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It is the program. It's the most, I don't want to say the most sensitive crowd, because that would be inaccurate. It is a special program because women show up and they open themselves for martial arts.
Yeah.
And they become so vulnerable that it requires a certain place of integrity to be empathetic with
Yeah.
the vulnerability of the person. And I'm talking about women in power right now, but that's go to all programs. It could be a adult male in combatives, could be a child 4 years old. It requires a lot of vulnerability to step into the mat, and requires a special traits to treat those people. And then at this moment we're talking about women empowered, so yeah, they're very protective. And then one day they gave me a little opportunity to assist, and I took that, and I just gave my best. And I have a strong understanding that once you show up and you give yourself fully, nothing can go wrong. And that's what kind of what was happening, just kind of learning and listening a lot, and then doing, and then just kind of slowly, boom, I was able to assist them with that program as well.
Yeah.
And then GST until then was only taught by Hiro and Henner.
Yeah.
Right. There were some other instructors that they would do the 3 first days, and then Hiro or Henner would go to the 2 last days, which is the SPF teaching that we do, that they protect that very dear to their heart.
Yeah.
And then I started doing the 3 first days. I think I came to all ICPs since 2013 when I came to America, and all GSTs. You understand? I show up so much, Robbie. I think that's the secret number 1 right there. Just show up. Just be there.
Yeah.
Even if I'm hurt, I just show up and I sit on the benches. You understand? Like, I just show up.
Yeah.
And then I was just kind of.
A lot of people don't value that, right? They're like, if you're training, and if you're wanting to progress, like just being physically present. You don't have to be physically action, like to make it happen, but just being present, like mentally present and absorbing information is so important to progression.
Oh my gosh, it's Yeah, I want to say it's a bigger part on my jiu-jitsu journey is to do this
Yeah.
and just watch.
Yeah.
That is more important than for me to go there and do the move. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's very valuable. So I'll just show up, man, and I would make it happen. And then what happened was I was just showing up, and then Hito and Henner, they trusted me with the GST, and they said, "Go do this," and they gave me some guidelines, and I wrote some other guidelines, and my man, I ran with it, and he landed. The feedback was amazing, and I was the first known Gracie to be trusted with this program. You understand?
Yeah.
Until then, it was only his dad, their dad, Hito and Henner, and it was just. It's just, I think that the word that sums it up is gratitude for the opportunity. You understand?
Yeah.
They saw something within me. They saw it. They trusted, and I took it.
Yeah.
And you know, I give all the gratitude back towards them, and I'm happy that I'm able to perform on the quality standard that they deserve, that the program deserves.
Yeah. Yeah. I did my first GST with you earlier this year, and it was amazing. Like I was saying to Alan the other day, like I had an experience. Like I went to a competition school in LA. I had the Gracie Academy, and I had GST. And I'd sum up my three experiences were like this. At the competition school, nobody wanted you to really get the technique down. If you didn't get it, it was just too bad for you. And so it's like, you know, it's just, that's what the atmosphere was like. In headquarters,
Okay.
every class was about like, if I ever needed this technique, I want it to be right. So I'm going to help you get it right. But GST was about when I need this technique, I want to make sure it's rock solid. And so the camaraderie, because everybody was like, when I need to use it, because they know they're going to need to use these techniques at some point in their day-to-day life on the beat. The camaraderie and the collaboration was so different. But what was really the part that led that was you guys, like you at the front being so, having such a high desire to want to collaborate with the law enforcement officers and not just be like, I'm talking at you. This is the technique. Like you're not talking jiu-jitsu at them. You're sharing jiu-jitsu and taking on their ideas. And that level of collaboration, I think, makes them feel so comfortable, but also just grows all the information being shared in that room.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. That is the energy that we lead the class. Because let me ask you this, Robbie.
Yeah.
If not leading with humility and openness, what is the alternative?
Yeah, a Rob Catership.
Yeah, like it's almost it's there's no alternative.
Yeah,
let's put it that way, right? There's some alternatives that we can mention, but there's no other way. How can I walk into your house and say, yeah, listen to me because I know better? How can I invite someone in my house and treat them like that? You see?
Yeah.
So I often say that I don't even teach class for law enforcement. I teach classes for human beings that happen to be law enforcement. So when we speak to the human, like we're equal. I'm not better than you. I'm not better than anyone.
Yeah.
In the human level. Now I have more jiu-jitsu skills. I'm a better fighter, but you're a better cop. You understand? Like, so I don't even want to go to the intricacies or who is better and when. No, let's talk to the human on it.
Yeah.
And then I speak jiu-jitsu on the human level. And because they see that and they feel the equality that I feel in my heart that we are, then they open themselves and then they can learn from us. We can learn from them. And then goes to like I said before, it's every class, right? You go to the kids' classes, you look to the child and you don't say, yeah, I'm 30 years old. I have more knowledge than you. You should listen to me. No, like you're a 4-year-old little monster.
Yeah.
And I love you. And you're the same as me.
Yeah.
Like we're equal. You understand? And they feel that, and then they can trust someone that trusts them. That's basically what it is.
It's so true, right? Because I think kids are the biggest test of character, right? Like if a kid doesn't like somebody or doesn't mesh well with somebody, you're like, oh, why? How does a kid not like you, man? Like they're so innocent. And it is that. It's that.
Yeah,
thing
they
like,
have a
yeah, if you're not genuine, then they're gonna read it very quickly, right? And so like the best teachers connect with kids easy because they're who they are. And like kids will like feel it, go with it, and move on from there. Like you can't hide from a kid.
You cannot, bro. They're in tune with their intuition and their energy read. They're good, man. I love it. You're right.
It's so funny. Like sometimes I have like because I love teaching kids. I've always loved teaching kids, and like my background is in developmental psychology, and that's why I do educational psychology. And I work in primary schools, and I work with children on the autism spectrum, and that's kind of like my day job. Like I do that just because I'm very interested in it, and I've maintained that for about 12 years now. And I've always just been very comfortable working with the kids, and then working with the families. I remember very early in the piece, I asked the question like, how do you do psychology with a family if you don't have a family yourself? And the person, my supervisor at the time was like, well, you just tell them what the theory is and that they need to put that in practice. And I was like, that's great. But don't families come with their own experiences that you need to learn about so that you understand how the family operates, so you can put in place the right intervention to fit that family? And she was like, no, you just tell them the theory and then they need to implement it. And I was like, okay. And then I never did that. I always went in and I like learned about the family, like connected on the human level, like you said, right? And then took on their information and then said, well, this is how I'd handle it. But, you know, what are you finding when you implement it? And then we'd keep evaluating it every week from there. And then she's like, she got very upset with how much feedback she was getting about how good my sessions were, that she ended up disconnecting our relationship, because she was like, I don't like how the families are giving so much positive feedback about your sessions in such an early stage. But it wasn't about the intervention. It was about the connection, right? It was about like, they were very comfortable connecting, you know, and then that connection allows people to grow. But I felt like if you just talk at people, like tell them this is how it should be, there's no way they're going to respect what you have to say. And I could never imagine walking into a room full of police officers, having never arrested anybody in my life, and be like, this is how you should arrest somebody.
Yeah, that's not the way, my man. That's very, very in tune.
Man, you have such a interesting way about looking at people and talking about people, you know, and I find it so amazing how much time you put into thinking about the way you connect with people and the way that people connect with each other. And have you studied at all, or is it just something you're very naturally curious about?
When you say, let me see if I understood your question. If I studied human connections and human relationships, is that what is that your question?
Yeah, like have you gone through like university and studied anything around, you know, like psychology or philosophy or anything like that, or is it just something you're very naturally interested in?
Great question, Robbie. And when you say study, what do you mean with study? Like just kind of learning from someone? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Got it. So if the definition of study is learning from someone, then the answer is no. I did not study, right? Because I did not. I went to college, and as a coincidence or not, my first choice was psychology. So I did like, you know, maybe 4 or 5 months of it, and then I quit because it was not for me.
Yeah.
And I did like other 2 or 3 that I quit as well.
Yeah.
But Robbie, you are educated on the psychology and you studied through, you know, the a certain curriculum and books and learning from people and from yourself, of course. And that's kind of studying that people seek the knowledge with. I think that the thing that happens with me and with everyone else, but I'm just talking about me right now, is that I am studying human beings every second of my life.
Yeah.
And that could be through observing other human beings interacting. It could be through observing myself interact with other people. It could be observing myself interacting with myself. So the field of opportunities to study human behavior is the fabric of life. Everything that we see, everything that exists is or will be built based on a human interaction in some level, right? Even if it is done by yourself, which that kind of doesn't exist, nothing by yourself, given that you were put in the planet Earth through a relationship with someone. however that relationship was, if it was a loving one, if it was an abrupt one, there's always relationship. Relationship is the fabric of existence, right?
Yeah.
And then, but even though when you do it by yourself, you have a relationship with you. It's like, how do you look at you? Do you look at you positively, negatively? Are you inspired? Maybe the negativity that you having within you is inspiration. Maybe the negativity that you're having within you is oppressing and depressing. You see, maybe the happiness. Some people get happy and they get guilt that they're happy.
Yeah.
So, and this is all happening in within. So I am, since a young age, I don't know when, I realized that I am alive.
Yeah.
And with that, I'm just watching, Robbie. And that gives me, the ability to interact with the environment, therefore with people around me, in a way that is perceptive. I think that the word is perception. I was able to perceive, to realize how it behaves, and to give myself on the most authentic, honest way that I find within myself.
Mm.
And then that works very well, Robbie.
Yes. And something I find myself doing a lot is just reflecting on interactions. And it wasn't
Yes.
something that I was taught. That's very much something that's just my natural curiosity. And I had a very strong outlet for it as a kid. I started working in my father's restaurants at about 10 years old. And my dad was very much about monitor the room, monitor people's interactions, watch every table and the way that they're interacting. Is the husband and wife in conflict? And do you need to go in and save their evening? Is like, do you need to go and have a, it's like, do you need to go have a look? Is that family dynamic in a place where it's very positive, and you can go in and make a connection with them so that they want to come back to the restaurant later on? Do you like, it's just all these things. And so at 10 years old, I was just sitting back and just trying to read the room. Who needs more water? Who needs someone to just come and chat to them right now? Is there a flatness in their interaction that you need to come in and get them reconnected in again from there?
I see.
Yeah, my father was
That's
very
pretty
much
cool.
about that. He just wanted to connect with people because he understood the restaurant wasn't a food business. It's a people business that you happen to communicate through food. And so
I
you
see.
make those relationships with people. But if you get it wrong, then you can have people not have the desire to want to come back. And so from my natural curiosity paired with his desire for me to be very
Got
in
it.
tune with people,
Beautiful.
made it happen. And so I think about that all the time. There's like, I'll be watching a movie or listening to a song or listening to the way I interact with somebody, and I reflect on it, and I'll talk it back to somebody, and they'll be like, why did you even think about that? Like, why are you even like thinking about that when you could be thinking about this? And I was like, because it fascinates me that
Yeah, that's a good word.
yeah, and I'm purely just curious about it, and I find you to be very much the same. And I love the way you explained. Like, just there was a point where you just realized, like that I'm alive and I'm connecting with people, and like these connections are meaningful. And I just don't think people put enough time reflecting on that, like the meaning of like how powerful connections are, and what outcome they can have for you if you make them as positive as they can be.
I agree, Robbie. And what, yeah. You know what I think it is? I don't think that people realize how powerful they are themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
Because you're saying that relationships are powerful and connections are powerful. And I agree. I agree 100%. But the powerful thing is the self.
yeah.
I have the power in within me, Robbie, to cause pain with my words or actions.
Yeah,
I have the power in within me to inspire someone,
yeah.
to bring love, to bring forgiveness, to bring curiosity, creativity. All of those things are human traits
Yeah.
that for some reason humans were led to believe that that's unimportant, and what is important is something material or something that you accomplish with a degree or something that you accomplish, a car that you buy or a title or a status that you have. And I find those things to be hollow when the virtue of life we already have.
Yeah.
It's almost like if what was sold in society was that you are already enough, and all the pure, unvaluable virtues of a human being, and whatever is important in life you already having within you, born within you, which are those traits that we just mentioned, that is not profitable.
Yeah.
Then people will not buy stuff to feel better. People would not feel a certain urge to improve and to get better. You understand? Which doesn't move their own self-interest.
Yeah.
You see? So I see that if you can look at someone, and that's what we kind of do with Jiu-Jitsu, right?
Yeah.
We empower the being behind the eyes. We look at the kid and say, my man, or my son or my daughter.
Yeah.
You have the power within you to defend yourself.
Yeah.
And if everyone ever says the different, they are wrong. So much that you can talk to them, you can look at their eyes and point at them and say you're wrong. If that's not enough, you can fight them. Because we allow people to defend that in which is the important thing to have, which is your values and virtues. And then we do that with grown-ups. People come to combatives or woman empowered or GST or whatever it is, and we look at them and say, hey, your boss you do not deserve for your boss to be talking to you like that. The boss is a title, and the title has no power over human interactions. And then that person start being confident, and then of course they get confident through knowing that if everything goes wrong, if they set a boundary, it's about setting backup, right? Because the reason why people don't set boundaries as kids or grown-ups is that if I say like this, Robbie, don't talk to me like that, I just set a boundary, boom. My ability to set a boundary is only delivered if I know what you do if you step over. Because if I say, Robbie, don't do this, and then you step over, I say, okay, Robbie, don't do that again, okay? And then you step over, say, no, don't do that. And then it becomes that endless, meaningless talk. Now, if I say like this, Robbie, don't do that, and I look at you, and I know that if you do it, something's going to happen. It's almost that energy, that confidence that I have to back up my own bounds that I just set allows me to set a boundary. And the funny thing is that once you set the boundary, knowing that you're willing to die for that boundary, you understand? There's some things that you just say to say, man, if you do that, nothing matters in my life. I'm going to do something about it. You understand? Once you reach a point of, what is worth defending, then whatever is the case, if you know how to fight or if you don't know how to fight, doesn't really matter, because you're willing to die for that in which you believe. Now, how amazing would be if you can defend yourself and what is valued to you without hurting the other person, without harming them, and without dying, and without hurting yourself, because you don't want that. I don't want to set a boundary only when it's life threatening. I want to set boundaries when it's safe. I say, hey, my man, don't do that. And when they cross the boundary, I don't fight them. I just talk to them a little more gentle and a little more precise and a little more assertive. And if there's something happen, I clinch. And when I clinch, I don't want to take him down and break his back on the floor. I just gently take him down. I hold him down. Say, my man, something's escalating right here. You see, and if they're biting, I do a little shoulder. So it's almost re-empowered through gentleness and empathy, instead of empowering through, okay, if you touch me, I'm going to fight you. You see?
And there's so many.
I kind of lost the trail of where we're going.
But I really like the way that you were talking about the idea of, like setting a boundary with the willingness to die, because there's so many different deaths you can have. Like everybody thinks about just the physical death, but you can have an ethical death. You can have an emotional death. You can have so when I'm in that situation and I set a boundary, it doesn't mean I'm going to fight you physically. It might be that I'm just willing to hold my ground. And if I let you cross that boundary, I might die an emotional death in that moment. And that emotionality is to myself. I'm like, you go home and you're like, man, I can't believe I let that person talk to me like that. I can't believe I didn't stand up for myself today.
Yes, which goes back to the thing that I started saying, which is then people believe that they're not powerful. They forget that they are powerful. If you truly believe into something, every word matters. Every second matters. The way that you say goodbye to someone, the way that you say hi to someone, you matter. Basically, that's what it is. People forgot that they matter and that they are powerful.
And one of the funniest things that I see people do is, especially men, have a difficulty saying goodbye to each other. It's like they don't know how to just end the interaction, right? Because there's this moment where it's like, I want to say bye, but how do I do it? And and I started just turning around to like my friends, turning around and be like, I love you, man. I'll see you later on. And they're like, what'd you just do? How dare you make that sentence? How dare you?
I get it, bro. I get it.
But it's like,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed our interaction. And I'd say the same thing
I
to my
feel you.
parents. I'd say the same thing to my kids. I'd say the same thing to my wives. So why wouldn't I say it to a close friend? I was like, man, thank you so much. I love this interaction. And man, I can't wait till we hang out again. And it leaves people feeling uncomfortable.
I love it.
Because they don't know how to respond now. They don't know how to say, I had fun too. Thank you. I look forward to the next time. And it's crazy, right? But I always say to people when I'm teaching Jiu-Jitsu, I say, like, you're powerful. You're more powerful than you realize. You're more capable than you think you are. And you just summed it all up for me. It's like people just don't realize at all how powerful they are with every fiber of their being. Because it's true, man. If I talk to my daughter, I hold so much power. And that, like, if I don't think before I open my mouth, that sentence could be so damaging to her in that moment, and I not even realize it because I don't consider the weight that my words have to her. And it's the same thing with a student. You know, you might haphazardly say something and then not realize like that holds so much weight to that person. And it's just not considering the value you have. And you don't have to be boss or leader or president or prime minister to have weight behind what you carry. You just have to have an interaction.
Yeah, I agree.
It's interesting. I just haven't thought about it in that kind of terms before, you know, like how much, because, you know, like a work colleague can say one sentence that plants a seed in their colleague's head that makes them realize, like, why aren't I being valued the way that I think I should be? And then that creates action, right? And it's like, you want that, it's action, reaction, everything, action, reaction to go through. So somebody says something, they've actioned something, and then the reaction could be indifferent and nothing happens. The reaction could be negative and it sends the person on this spiral, or it could be positive and it sends them on this spiral. You don't realize the way you're going to be taken if you don't think about it.
Yeah, and I think that people that they have a very natural fear of being powerful, right? Because if I tell you that you are powerful and then you matter, then the natural consequences that, oh my gosh, then I have a certain responsibility that I have to protect and I cannot say anything to my daughter that is not right. And they get self-conscious about how powerful they are, and then they lose their power. Almost forgetting that the powerful person, they are powerful because they know how to acknowledge their mistakes. And they're the same willingness that I have to say something to you and to watch what happens. If you get excited and happy, okay, beautiful, let it happen. If you get upset and offended, I might say, hey, you know what? I just realized that what I said right now might have offended you. And I apologize for that. That was not my intention. That was inaccurate of my speaking. And at that moment, I reclaim the power. You understand? And even if that happens 2 days later, maybe I said something to you, and then we finish this call right here. I go, you know, home. I stay home. I'm home actually already. And then 2 days pass by, and I'm like, man, I told Robbie something about this and this and this. I wonder how he feels about it. Because now that I'm thinking, like you said, like you're just analyzing the interaction like you do, man, let me call him. And then I call you back and say, hey, Robbie, on the talk, I said this and this and this. How do you feel about that? Was that offensive for you? Because what I'm thinking here, if you interpret this way, it might be this way. And two things could happen. Once you know about that, I didn't even think about that, no problem. Or it could be, Evan, that was a little something. And then when I read that energy, because I'm courageous enough to say I'm sorry. And then I was like, man, I didn't mean that way. And boom, let's do another video. Let's fix that one. You see, so the resourcefulness of the creativity within me goes and fixes it. That's why I'm unafraid of failing. You see, because the one that is powerful cannot be afraid of failing, because failing is this substantial part of everything that we do.
It's what we do, right? And what do we see so much in children, right? Is that fear of failure, that perfectionism. I need to be perfect. And it's so damaging.
Yes.
It's one of those
Yes.
things. There's so much anxiety
It
about
is.
getting it wrong. You know?
You know what, bro? You know what I tell people, and I tell kids too. I say like this: when you're trying something new, do it wrong on purpose
Yeah.
first.
Get the
Like I
mistakes
was in a
out of the
skate
way.
park. No, just kind of to remove the taboo
Yeah.
of doing it wrong. You understand? For
Yeah.
example, we were in the skate park. I have inline skates, and I do some cool stuff, some grinding. And then Henner was on his skateboard, and we were doing. And I was afraid of falling. Of course, everyone's afraid of falling.
Yeah.
And then I fell down on the floor. I tried to drop in, and I succeeded a few times. But then there was one time I avoided a kid, and I fell down on the floor. Boom! Fell with my elbow. I was wearing pads, no problem.
Yeah.
Once I fell down, I was like, man, I'm okay. And then I got up, and then everything started being better after it. And then I fell down again. And then there was one time, bro, that I just rolled on the floor just to be more okay with falling.
Yeah.
And then I was trying a trick, and I said, Henner, just roll on the floor, but just fall on purpose. You're going to realize that it's not as bad as you think. And once you're okay with failing, you're okay with trying.
Yeah.
You know, so just remind yourselves that it's okay if you try your best and you fail.
Yeah.
And you fall and you do it wrong. It's okay because we have what it takes to rebuild.
Yeah, man. That's so cool. I just started skating again this week. And I remember I was like showing my daughter, because my little daughter, my 4-year-old, she wants to rollerblade. So she's got her little rollerblades and she's padded up and everything, but she's so nervous. And I was like, look, Dad will do it first. And then I had to go through that process of thinking, like, do I do it well? And then she feels like that's how she has to do it. Or do I just purposely fall onto my car and make like a little joke about falling over? And then she's going to laugh about it and realize that falling over is part of it, you know, as we go through. So I start going on the roller skate, I fall into my car and I fall on the grass. And I'm like, oh man, Daddy is still getting his balance. He hasn't, you know, rollerbladed in a while, but I want to fall over a couple of times. You know, she like giggled and she fell too, but I had to have that thought, right? Of like, I got to fail a little bit on this.
Bro, in a society that is always telling you, succeed, don't fail, be this, be that. Like, I'm saying literally the opposite. I'm saying fail, lose, get arm locked, get choked and tap early.
Yeah.
You see? Ask your partner, hey, do that again, tap me again. And they tap you again. Do it again, they tap you again. Lose more.
Yeah.
But lose conscious. Don't lose with full of guilt, shame. Lose from like, man, losing is fantastic. Lose on purpose.
Yeah.
And then there will be a time that you're not going to be able to lose anymore because you just lost so much. You know how your foundation of losing so well that you don't fall anymore. You just learn how to stay standing.
Yeah.
It's almost like a upside down approach to success.
Yeah. My daughter was doing like a writing task yesterday, and you had to write like 10 new rules. If you were principal of the school, what would 10 new rules be that you put into the school? And she had put like, you know, free time every day. And, you know, the canteen open every day, ice cream every Friday. And then she had no mistakes. And I said,
interesting.
I know. And I said to her, what do you mean by no mistakes? And she's like, I'm like, people are allowed to make mistakes. She's like, Dad, that's not what I said. I said, no mistakes. Okay. And I said, well, what do you mean? Because I'm taking this as, you know, that people aren't allowed to make mistakes. And she's like, no, Dad. I said, the word mistake doesn't exist anymore. She's like, everybody should be proud of the errors that they make. So we don't call them mistakes anymore. We remove the word. And I was like, what?
Got it.
and I was like, that's awesome. Like, that's a great one. Yeah, like, people should be proud that you just, you know, that's just part of learning. The interesting thing is she has a very high level of perfectionism. She's very anxious about making mistakes. But I saw in that moment her desire was to not give it as much power. So, you know, it gave me like a whole new way of thinking about how I'm going to address her perfectionism, which is like, yeah, we just tackle it a different way because mistakes are okay. And we just go through and, you know, we got this, this book called My Beautiful Oops. And it's like a book where the writer has gone through and he's like torn the page on purpose. And so the first page is a tear, but you flip it over and he's drawn it into a crocodile. And then you move the ripped page and he's like, oh, the oops is just something beautiful now, right? And then the next page, a spill of ink on the page,
Wow.
and you turn the page and he's turned the spill into an elephant. And then you open up the spill a little bit more and it's like 17 dogs. And then you open up the spill again and it's
Wow. That's so cool. I love it.
yeah. And then they have another version, which is called Your Beautiful Oops. So he's gone and taken all those things, cut the page, put the spill on, but leaves it for you to turn it into something. And so it's like, there's no
I
mistakes. It's like
see.
just how you handle the mistake afterwards. Right?
Yes. That's self-mastery, bro. I love it.
Yeah. It's like, it's so interesting because it's all about how you interpret it and how you go through about doing it, you know? And,
Yep.
one thing you said before that was so interesting to me was people don't want to realize how powerful they are. You just said that
Yeah.
sentence, and
They're afraid of it. There's a certain fear.
there's a fear of accountability. You know, people. You know,
Yeah.
what was the big advertising in like the 90s was live a carefree life. You know, live a
I
life
see.
without anything. You know, like without any responsibility. That's the joy of being like a young adult. And it's like, so what you're saying completely contradicts what was advertised to everybody, right? It's like, no, actually care about what you do. Care about the interactions you have with people. Have a little bit of time where you can go through and you know, reflect on what you're doing. That takes some level of accountability and some responsibility, and it goes against the grain. But
Yes. It's 100% accountability. Everything that happens in my life, I'm the one doing it.
mm, what are the two
I give the.
what are the two
Go ahead.
hardest sentences for people to say? Right. And I see it from such a young age. I see it with kids. Parents try and force them, you know, give a hug, give a kiss, say I love you to grandma or granddad. And the kid resists.
Mm-hmm.
And the adults become uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
right? With like, why aren't you showing the love right now? Right. And it's like, it's hard for people to do that. So you see, I love you is the hardest thing to do. The other one is, I'm sorry. Ask a 4-year-old to say, I'm sorry. They hold their hands and they put their finger.
Yeah.
Why? Because adults don't show it. Adults don't say I'm sorry, because sorry means I'm being accountable for my actions. I love you means I'm being accountable for my positivity towards you. And because we don't model it, little kids fear doing it because it's such an extreme emotion that we don't know how to
Yeah.
express with other people. You know, we got to lead by example and be okay saying I'm sorry. Or, you know, I
Yes.
purposely do it in the kids class. I'll be counting like push-ups or sit-ups, and I'll go 1, 2,
Yes.
3, 7, and then you know they're like, Robbie, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh man, sometimes I make mistakes. I'm sorry. Can I just start that again? And you know, like we go through, or we'll be holding like a plank, and I'll go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we hold it for 20 seconds, and I get up to like 19, and I don't say the 20. I just hold it for a little bit longer, and you hear, and I'm like, what's the next number? What comes next? And they're like, oh, and I'll be like, guys, I made a mistake, and you guys are all yelling at me for making a mistake. But it's okay to make a mistake. How about somebody encourage me, or just,
Got it. Wow,
hey,
that's
Robbie,
beautiful.
the next number is 20, and why don't you just help me out rather than tell me off for making a
I
mistake?
see.
And the kids are like, oh, and so then we'll start it again. And like 3 kids will be like, hey, Robbie, the next number is 20. And I'm like, yes, 20.
Wow, that's so cool.
And we all like celebrate it and we go through. But it's just a different approach to the way we go about it.
It is a different.
But
Yeah.
I think modeling is so important. And having yourself taking classes and teaching people and being in front of them, you get an opportunity to model this. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I have found you so fascinating to be around because you model the way that I would like to present myself as an instructor.
I
And
see.
I think it's been so what's the right word? It's just inspired me more to continue with the line of thinking that I've been doing, to see the way you do
I
it.
see.
And I feel like
Thank you, brother.
I still have to put a lot of effort into my
Mm.
thinking behind my actions, and I feel like you do it so naturally. That's just so
Mm.
cool to see. It's part of you to go through.
Mm. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I take that as a compliment. And Yeah, you think, you sit with it, but then you find a state of just trust.
Mm.
And it's almost like this, if I can elaborate on that a little bit. The way that I see it is that we as human beings, we have a certain intuition that we are born with, a certain ability to perceive, to understand, to see colors, to look at someone and say, wow, that person is a little upset, just a little empathetic. It's hard to describe, energetic, read, and feel, right? And then we have the thinking mind, which is a very business, assertive, precise, intellectual, mathematical way of thinking and dealing with the planet Earth. Both of them are so beautiful, brother. They're so amazing and priceless and indescribable. Now, what I see that usually happens is that people, they attach to one of the other.
Mm.
So when you meet someone that's very intellectual, they're very much like good dressing and sharp on their words. They don't speak you wrong. They're very, they mention articles, they mention books, accounts, and numbers, and they're just like a sniper. It's beautiful to witness
Mm.
people that are intellectually advanced.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the spectrum, we have the poets, we
Mm.
have the artists, people that grab ink and just kind of throw into something and just make something, even giving me goosebumps talking about it. Just kind of, just something that is exists there. They see it and you cry. You understand? You feel a certain something towards those individuals. And then the eternal battle in society nowadays is that the businessman wants more assertiveness and the poets wants more poetry. You
Yeah.
understand? And I find that personally to be a disconnect, an inner conflict of who we are. The
Yeah.
way that I see myself, I am a businessman and I am a poet. I am both. So what I do is that when I'm interacting with you right now I'm not even thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just kind of, I'm like, I'm half poet right here, more than a half
Yeah.
poet. I'm just kind of saying whatever's coming in my mind. It's not planned. It's not anything.
Yeah.
Now, right now I stop and I'm like, hey, let me think about what I just said. And I boom, I go to a certain, let's call the businessman, right? Or even better, let's call the precise thinking mind.
Yeah.
And I go tick, 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 and I do a little thinking mind. And then once I establish that, I'm like, boom, I go back to singing and yelling and talking.
Yeah.
So it's almost like allowing us to be in touch with everything that is capable for us. Not
Yeah.
only the thinking mind, not only the poetry. I don't want to be a hippie
Yeah.
and, you know what I'm saying, like just live by the sun. And I don't want to be a millionaire that has no time for my family and friends.
Yeah.
I want to be both.
Yeah.
And when I'm working, bro, and when I'm chasing performance and intellectuality, I'm very intellectual. I can talk to you about anything, and even a subject that I don't know. I'm so curious that I'll find precision on it.
Mm.
And I can hang out with you for 3 weeks, Robbie,
Yeah.
in the middle of the jungle, eating bananas in a hammock, and just doing jiu-jitsu and singing, climbing the tree and falling, and doing
Yeah.
skateboarding. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then once you have a house on the poetry and you have a house on your intellectual mind, you can play and you can navigate and you can talk to people. They don't even know what's happening because you were very intellectual with them and then you're very free and spiritual. You see, it's that balance that it naturally is going to happen and you have it. And some people, what I can say is that in America, more people have the intellectual mind
Yeah.
than the spiritual heart.
Yeah.
And in less socially developed countries like Brazil, for example, we have a lot of spiritually developed minds with people that are able to see and perceive, but they're not intelligent because they got deprived from information. They don't have
Yeah.
access to schools and maybe internet and books and these amazing books they have access today, or an app that does a summary of the book. It's just crazy intellect.
Yeah.
So it's happening within ourselves. It's happening within countries. We have underdeveloped countries full of love and poetry and music. We have higher developed countries like ours right here in America, disconnected a little bit from the humanity part of it. Like you say, hey man, I love you, Robbie. And
Yeah.
people don't know how to respond to that. You see? So the connection, the allowance, the permission to be both
Yeah.
and to find when and where to be both and to be one or the other. When I'm on the GST, I'm like this, I'm precise, but
Yeah.
then I'm also not. You see, so
Yeah.
just kind of I think that's the careless that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Just I'm so careful, I'm so intellectual, let's call it. I'm so responsible
Mm.
that I am irresponsible.
Yeah.
So I kind of I blend both, and once that happens, or that symbiotic relationship between intellect and heart, let's call it, happens, then you can be careless. Then
Yeah.
you can leave that. Man, I don't even care what I'm talking about because I know that it's coming from authenticity. And if
Mm.
it doesn't, I will realize and say, "Whoa, what did you just say?" I apologize for that. And then I go bring intellect, and then I fix it, and then I sharp it, and then I go back to the field to play.
Yeah.
Does that make sense for you?
Yeah, yeah, it's really good. I love that, like that you summarized it perfectly in the idea of it's authenticity, right? Like, I think that's a great word. Like
Yes.
you're authentic because it's coming from both realms, and you know, like it's truly what you're feeling, right? Whereas like if you're coming from a business mindset, you might be a little bit more protective, and if you're coming from
Yes. The mind cannot be authentic. You see,
yes,
the mind doesn't have access to spontaneity. The mind has access to other skills, which are beautiful too.
yeah,
And spontaneity doesn't have access to precision.
yeah,
So we have to blend it and mash and not create separation in within us and just be precisely unprecise. Be responsibly irresponsible.
yeah. And I could see why that would cause people so much like discomfort, right? Because you know, like if you haven't played around with it and kind of like learned it, it's like no, like it's almost like you're denying your current, you know, presentation. Like if you're the business person, you're saying, and you want to be a little bit carefree, you might almost feel guilty for like seeping into that
Yes.
side of your life. And the thing is, like your brain wants it. Your brain wants to experience this, and it likes this. But
Yeah.
you have to indulge in it every now and then. Otherwise, you just like you're fighting this idea of who you are and what you want to be. Mm,
Yeah. And people get trapped there, Robbie. I've seen
yeah,
it many times. They
yeah,
get trapped in the mind or they get trapped on the other side,
yeah,
which it's okay as long as it's a choice, it's purposeful. But I find that people that get attached to one or the other, they get resentful and they get guilt, ashamed, and they feel guilty because they're denying the other half of themselves. Whatever side you choose to be, it's okay. But if you deny the existence of the other, now you are in conflict, and conflict creates separation, which creates shame and guilt and fear.
it's interesting that they say that for like men to have the most feeling of purposefulness and success, they have to be in service to something, you know.
Mm,
And so when you're in service to something, it just clicked in my head like why that thought is there. But when you're in service to something, you have precision because you have an objective to reach. Like if you're a doctor or if you're a father or if you're teaching, you have precision that has to be met. But in order to connect with people, you have to have that spontaneity, that poetry kind of mindset to
yep,
effectively connect with somebody. And so you
yep,
in service and to be successful at being in service to people is to have both sides of those mashing very well together.
yeah,
And
yeah,
that's why you have that feeling of purposefulness, success, function, meaningfulness, you know, at the moment. Like I was saying, when we've had the first couple of weeks of this closure of like not being able to run the school, I kind of felt a little depressed, a little bit
mm,
not myself. And I was like,
mm,
I am missing some of my purposefulness. I'm not able to be precise and have precision in those first
mm,
because I
mm-hmm,
was missing my outlet for it. And so I was like finding
mm-hmm.
a new outlet to kind of new ways to shape that in what we're doing, until I can find like where my service is to people. Because when I felt like I wasn't able to provide
I
any
see.
usefulness, I felt like there was part of me that was missing.
I see.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm just reflecting myself on, you know, the last couple of,
Yeah, I see it.
it's been a very interesting couple of weeks to be taken so far
Mm-hmm.
out of my comfort zone of my day-to-day life,
Mm,
you know, because
mm.
I've been building my day-to-day life for so long. And then I was
Yes.
taken away. Like literally for myself, like I left my day job, you know,
Yes.
in December to do jujitsu full time, a little bit of
Yes.
consulting and have more family time. And I was like, I was feeling good. January, February, March. I was like, oh man, like it's
Yeah, yeah,
where I want to be. And then
yeah.
end of March came and it's like taken away. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad I got to experience it because I know what I want to work back towards once the world.
Yes, that's so cool.
Yeah, but it's like, but
That's
having
pretty
it
cool.
taken away, I think was just as powerful as all the years working towards reaching that kind of goal because now it can be taken away.
Yes,
So value it even more.
I like it, bro. It's always a gift. There's only gifts being given to us. Everything's a gift. It's just how you see it.
Yeah, yeah, man. Perception is huge. It's going to be really interesting for people to sit back and listen to this conversation and see what they take away from the ideas.
I would love to hear it.
I can't wait to hear it as well because people have been giving me feedback on all the podcasts. It's been really good for me to kind of, first off, hear that people are listening to it, but not just listening to
Yes,
it on a surface level, but because at the moment they're in lockdown, they have more time to
yes.
give to actually listening and thinking about the topics that are being said. So, man,
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what comes of this. And it was such a pleasure talking to you about all these different topics. I can't wait until this leads to another conversation because I know it is for us.
Bro, my pleasure. I love spending time with you and I appreciate the talk and I love it, my man. I have gratitude in my heart and I love it.
Yeah, I'm so appreciative that you were willing to give me your time. And I love that we had the time to talk. So I just want to say, man, I love you, man. Thank you so much.
I love you too, Robbie.
And we'll talk again soon, man. Thank you.